So hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, and in today's video I'll be taking you through how to build this UI you see here. That's the home page of a medical app, and there is not going to be a speed code. There is going to be a tutorial where I'll take you through the basics of building UIs in Flutter. And even before we do that, we will first look at how to structure our UI. So how we are going to break our UI down into simple rows and columns so that it will become very easy to implement them with Flutter, right? So if you want to see more content like this where I break down UIs and implement them with Flutter, then I'll need your support by hitting the like button, subscribing, and then sharing the video as well. So let's get right into this video. Okay, so let's first break down this UI into simple rows and columns, and that will help us implement them easily in Flutter. So basically, if you want to build any UI regardless of which framework you are using, the most simplest approach to go with is to break your UI down into simple rows and columns. That's your layout, and that will help you easily implement that layout in the specific framework we are working with. So in this video, I want us to just work on breaking the UI down, and then we will build it out in Flutter in the next video, right? So let's first start by identifying the components we have in terms of rows and columns. So I'm going to start with this section, which is the header section, and we have our app bar, right? Now this app bar will be divided into two sections, right? So we have our title, the title section of our app bar, which is going to be a column because we have two texts, hi Jane, and then how are you feeling today, and they are aligned in a column, right? And also we are going to have the actions of our app bar. So what you see on the right are going to be placed in the actions, and this is how we are going to divide our app bar. Right? This is going to be the layout for our app bar. Now next is going to be our body. So this whole section, starting from the container here, the blue container here, is going to be our body. So this is going to be our body, and then the down section here is going to be our bottom navigation bar. Now within our body, we are going to have a container, right? And this container will have a child, we have a row as a child, right? And within the row, we are going to have this image here, and then a column, right? So this is going to be a column. So if I shift this up a bit, this is going to be a column, and the column is going to have the text, these two texts, and then this container design, right? The next thing is going to be just a text widget. So the health needs is just going to be a text widget, and after that we are going to have a row, right? So this whole section is going to be a row, and within it we are going to have columns, right? So this is going to be a column, and if I change the color of my pen, so this is going to be a column and another column, right? And the reason why it's going to be a column is because we are going to have this SVGs or images here, then a text will come beneath the images, right? Now after that, we are going to have the nearby doctor text. So if I move this up a bit, we're going to have the nearby doctor, and then after that also we are going to have this section. So this whole section is going to be a column, right? And within that column we are going to have rows and then columns. So this is going to be a row, this whole section is going to be a row, and within the row we are going to have our image, and then a column, right? So our image, and the next to it is going to be a column, and within the column we are going to have our text, and then also this small section, because it's not just a text but consisting of an icon and then some text. We are going to assume this is going to be a separate row on its own. So this is going to be a row with the icon and then the text, and this layout is just going to repeat for all the other doctext, right? So this is how our UI is going to be in the code, and let's see how we'll implement that with Flutter in the next video. Hello and welcome. So in this section of the video we'll be implementing the design we looked at in the previous video. So the material app, I have my home page, and it's just a simple stateless widget that's returning a scaffold. And the first thing I want us to do is to go to our pubspec.yaml file and add some dependencies. So under this dependency section we are going to add the Ionicons package, which is the icons package we'll be using for this project, and then the Google Fonts package as well. And also I've added an asset section to my app, and I've created a folder called assets, and this assets is just the icons and then some images we'll be using for our project. Okay, so let's save our pubspec.yaml file, and Flutter pub-get should run automatically. If it doesn't, just go to your terminal and type in the command to run Flutter pub-get. Good. So now let's go to our main.dat file, and the first thing I want us to do is to change this from the color scheme of our app. So instead of primary swatch blue, we are going to use a color I copied from the design. So color scheme seed, and we are going to set it to particular color. So I'm going to copy the color in, and there is the color scheme we'll be using. Also we are going to change our text theme to use the Google Fonts text theme. So that is going to be Google Fonts plus Jakarta Sans text theme, and we are going to pass in our current text theme. So that is going to be the theme.ofcontext.text theme, and this is how we use the Google Fonts package. So the first time you use the Google Fonts package, normally in a project, it will require you to restart the app. So I'm going to restart this app. As you can see, I have an error here. So just stop the app and then rerun it again. Okay, so our app is running now, and then we can start from the home page. So within the scaffold of our home page, we are first going to have the app bar, and as we saw with the breakdown, our app bar is going to contain the title which is going to be a column widget with some children, and then the first child of this column is going to be a text which says hi Jane from right, and also the next child is going to be the greeting, which is right. So when we save this, we should have this huge text here. And also I want to remove the elevation from the app bar and then make it white as the scaffold. In order to do that, I'll just go to my main.dat file. Instead of removing them manually, I'm just going to enable the option that says use material 3, and that will remove the default shadow and add the material 3 app bar. Now this text is too huge. That's the the question here. So let's style it a bit, and I'm going to use the caption text theme, right? So within my text I want the caption text star, right? So I'll access my theme and then the text theme, and more specifically the caption, right? And if I remove the cons from here, we should have this text becoming smaller. Now also I want to align all the text, everything within this column to the left, and you can do that with the cross axis alignment. So when we set the cross axis alignment to start, that will push the whole text or everything within this column to the left. So that will be for the left section of our app bar, and the next section will be our actions. So within the actions, we are going to have an icon button and set the onPress to an empty function. Then the icon is going to be ionicons, that's the package we added, .search, right? And we are going to use the outline version of this icon. Good. And also we are going to add the notification. So icon button, another icon button, and then the icon is going to be notification icon. Right, so that concludes our app bar, and now I can minimize this app bar so that we focus on the body. So the body is going to be, as we discussed earlier, either a list view or a single child scroll view with column as the child, but I prefer to use list view. So I'm going to list view and give in some children, right? But let's first finish with the bottom navigation. So within the scaffold, I'm going to use the bottom navigation property. I set it to bottom navigation bar, right? And the items are going to be bottom navigation bar items with an icon and a label, right? So the first icon is going to be the ionicons.home outline, right? And then the label is going to be home. So let's duplicate this 4 times and save. And we can't see anything on the screen for now, but our icons are there. See, if I press and hold, you can see the icons, right? So in order to fix this, what we have to do is we have to change the type of this bottom navigation bar. So we come to the type and change it to bottom navigation type.fix. and this will allow us to see our icons. And also we want to remove the labels, right? So the home we want to remove those labels, so we can do that with show selected labels, set it to false, and then when the that bottom navigation bar is active, its label is going to disappear. And also show unselected labels, so already supposed to be false, and then false as well. So this will remove all the labels. And please set a label even though you want to remove the labels, because the label is a required parameter, although it seems optional here, right? So if someone long press sees the tooltip. Now let's change the icons really quickly. So the next icon is going to be the calendar icon. So calendar outline, the text can be something like calendar, right? And also the next icon is going to be chat bubble ellipsis outline, and maybe call it something like chats. The last one is going to be person, the outline version, and maybe profile. Okay. So this is how our bottom navigation bar looks like now. And now let's focus on our body. So within the body, I first want to have a padding within the list view, right? I don't want the contents of the body to touch the edges of the screen. So let's first add some padding. I want to have a padding of 14 all around it. And you can remove this padding and see how the contents will touch the edges of the screen. Also, the first thing I want to have in my body is the upcoming card. So the blue card we saw in the design breakdown video. So let's first, that is going to be a separate widget on its own. It's going to be the upcoming card, right? And then the text health needs, so then the text, so the text and then the health needs. And then the last thing would be the nearby doctors. So let's create separate widgets for all of these. So let's start from the upcoming cards, and in my lib folder I'm going to create a folder called widgets. You don't have to necessarily create another folder, but I just want to organize everything. And I'm going to create a file called upcoming card, and it's going to be a stateless widget. So I'm going to create a simple stateless widget. And this stateless widget will begin with okay, so our container is going to have a width of 100%, which we present with double dot infinity, right? And then a height of 150. And also we're going to have some decoration in our container, so let's just set up an empty box decoration for now. And let's use our upcoming card in our home page. So below here I'm going to write our upcoming card and auto import it, and we can't see anything because we don't have a color. So let's use the color, and I'm going to use my primary color but then with some opacity. So I'm going to get into my theme, and then I think this should work. Okay, so I would have to import a material version. Okay, so now I can have access to the theme. So theme dot of context dot primary color dot with some opacity of 80%, right? And now when I save, we have this card showing up on our screen. Also want to give it some border radius, so we can use the border radius property and give it a border radius of circular about 20, right? So this will make our card rounded. And now, as we saw in the layout breakdown video, we have some padding within this container, and then the items in the container are in a row, right? So let's first add the padding, and then the padding I'm going to use is symmetric, because the paddings are not going to be equal. The top and bottom padding is going to be 22, and then the horizontal padding, that's the left and right, those ones are going to be 20, right? And when we add the content, you will see how the padding is working. So outside we are going to have a child, and our child is going to be a row with some children, and the first child of this row is going to be our image. That is the image, the doctor image here. So I'm going to do image.asset and then point it to asset slash doctor underscore 2.jpg. So this is the second image, and the image is very huge, as you can see here. So I'm going to make the width 45, and then it becomes a little bit small, and sorry for the distraction, let me turn off my notifications. So and then also I'm going to round this image, right? I want this image to be a little bit rounded, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to wrap this image in a widget called clip rect. So the clip rect widget applies border radius to its child, right? And we have to define that border radius, and the value is going to border radius to the circular, and then we pass in a value of 10, right? So this will round our image, and then after our image we need to have some spacing. So I'm going to use a sizer box. You can use padding as well, and give it a width of 14. So that's the amount of space I want between the image and then the next content. Now the next content is going to be within a column and with some children, right? So that's the text we see here, and the first text is going to be the name of the doctor, right? So I'm just going to give up a random name, right? And then when we save, realize we have this, we have something like this, and we realize the image and then the text, it seems like the image is centered, right? So if you don't want that, you come to your row and you set the cross-axis alignment to cross-axis alignment dot start, and that'll make sure that the items in your row are all starting from the edge of that row, right? So from the top of this row. So let's continue with our text in the column. We want to style our text, so I'm going to use the style property, set it to a text style, and then give it a font size of 18, right? Then make the font weight also bold, and then set the color to white. Of course, I'm sorry, not white like this, white. And when I save, we should have something like this, right? Now next to it is the speciality, right? But we need some spacing, so we can wrap this text in a padding and then give it padding only bottom of about 5. I mean bottom 5 here, and then outside the padding, right, we are going to have a text. So this text is going to be dental specialist, and it's going to have a color, right? So the color I want to use from the style is colors.white 70. So this is just a white version of the color, but looks a little bit grayish, right? And we also realize that in this case our text, these two texts are centered and want them to be aligned to the left. So we come to the column and set the cross-axis alignment to the start, and that will make sure that these two texts are starting from where the column starts, right? Now the next thing is the circle, that small circle, container circle we saw in the breakdown video. So in order to create that, let's first give some spacing. So I'm going to use sizer box, right? So a sizer box for this spacing, and give it a height of 18. That's the amount of space I want. And then a container, so I'll create that whole design using a container, and I have to move the cons from here. So a container, and this container is going to have some decorations, right? So let's first set the decoration to be box decoration, and the color to be a little bit transparent. So I'm going to use colors.white, not very white, colors.white, and then I want a transparent version of the white, so I'm using white 10, right, which looks very transparent. And also I want to give it some border radius, but since we don't have any content, let's add some padding so that we'll see the shape of this container. So padding and symmetric. So symmetric, I want the vertical to be 6 and then the horizontal to be 8, right? So when I say, realize we have this small rectangle here because of the padding in it, and let's also add our border radius. So border radius dot circular, and passing the value of 10, and also remove the cons from the box decoration so it is rounded. Now it's time to add the content to this container. So the child of this container is going to be a row, right? And the children of this row are going to be first an icon, that's ionicons.calendar outline, and when we save, we have this huge calendar there, so we can use the size property to reduce its size and give it a size of 18. Also, let's change the color to white, so colors.white, and then the next thing will be a text, right? So the text is the day, and the text is today, right? and when we save, realize the text and the icon are close together. And also the next thing that will come after the text should not be very close to the text. So an easier way to do that is to wrap the text in the padding widget. So wrap it in the padding widget, and then set the padding. The padding are not going to be equal in this case because the today will be much closer to the date. The calendar icon than to the other section, that's the remaining text. So I'm going to use the only property and set the right section 14 and then the left to 6, right? So this will make sure there is more space here than there is here. And also I want to change the text of this today to white. So get in my style, text style, and change the color to white. Good. Now we need to also add another icon, which is the time icon, right? And after this padding, I'm going to add another icon. So unicorns dot time outline, right? And then just the same thing we did for this. I'm going to copy these properties and then paste it here, right? Now the next thing is the text. So text, and then the text is 14, that's the time itself, to 15:30 AM, right? But the text is very close to this time, so I'm going to wrap this icon in the padding and set the padding only right to be 8, just the default padding. And now there is some space here. Also I'll change the text to white, and now we are done with our card. So just as I explained in the video, it is not very difficult to build this kind of layout if you break it down into rows and columns, right? So next is the health needs, right? But we need to write the text health needs first, right? So let's first put some sizer box here, since we want to have space between the cars and the health needs. So sizer box, and then add a height of about 20. I put my comma well, and then a text. So a text which says health needs, and when we save, we should have some text, and we want this text to be bold. So I'm going to go into my theme rather, then text theme, and select the heading 6. So headline 6. And now this text seems a little bit huge, it looks a little bit huge. And then some sizer box for the health need card. So some sizer box of height 15. Maybe there is a comma here. Good. Now our health needs cards itself. So let's come to our widget and then create the health needs. Now our health needs is going to be a stateless widget. So let's first create our stateless widget, and within this stateless widget we are first going to have a row as I described earlier, and then some children, and the children of this row are going to be columns, right? The column which has an icon and some text beneath it. So we are going to have a column, and then within the column we are going to have an icon, right? But the icons we have don't already have these backgrounds. And look at our icon, they are transparent. So we are going to create these backgrounds ourselves. And how we are going to do that is we are going to use a container, right? So I'm going to create a container, give it a width of 60, a height also of 60, give it some decoration, and then the box decoration, and then give it a shape, box shape dot circle. And now we can put our health needs in our home page so that we see what's going on. So health needs, and we can't see anything for now because our container is not having any color. So let's give it some color. So our color is going to be from our theme, our primary, one of our primary colors. So theme dot of context dot color scheme. I want our primary container dot with opacity of 40%. So this is just one of the colors in my theme, and when I save I get this color, right? And you can basically just add code a color here. I'm just trying to pick from my theme so that my design is a little bit consistent. And within this container we are going to have our image, right? So let's set the child to be image dot assets, and then it's going to be assets slash appointment dot png. When we save, realize our asset is too huge for our container. So in order to prevent our assets overflowing our container, we are going to give the container some padding, and the padding we are going to give will be filter edge insect or, right? And let's give it a value of 15, so something like 15, yeah. And that would create padding around this within this container, so that anything in the container, any child of that container can't get to the boundaries of the container, right? So that will automatically shrink the image. Now the text is just going to be below the container. So if I collapse this container, we can have a sizer box, a sizer box, give it a height of 6, right? Just some small spacing, and then just some text, so you can make a mistake, okay? Then just some text here like appointment, and we are going to have multiple instances of this column and then container text, right? So let's create a class to handle that. Below I'm going to create a sample class, so class custom icon, that's going to be for each individual icon. And within this class we are going to expect the icon itself, which is a string from our assets, and then the name, which is going to be the text here, so final string name. And let's require these fields in our class, so require this, and we are going to create a list of these custom icons. So let's first create a list of custom icon, and then I'm going to call it custom icons, right? And if we create it here, realize we're having some problems. We have to remove the cons here, and if you don't want to worry about moving the cons, just bring it down to your widget build and you won't have any problems. Now instead of manually writing this, I'll copy this in, but I'll show you how it's been done. So we're just going to have a custom icon, and then the icon will be our assets slash, for instance, appointment.png, and the name is going to be appointment. So we are going to have multiple instances of this, like something like this, right? So I'm just going to copy them in, right? So that we don't waste a lot of time, and they are just the same time. I'm just pointing to the icons in my assets. And now, instead of manually recreating this, I'm going to loop over our custom icons and then return this widget, right? So I'm going to cut this widget, then the row is going to be list.generate. The length is going to be our custom icons.length, and this will be a function that returns our UI. So this UI, right? And when we save, realize we have multiple of these, and also want to space them out. So we are going to use main axis alignment, the space between, right? And now let's actually use this text. So instead of a hard-coded version of this, we are going to use our custom icons, that particular index dot icon, right? And this will make sure that our icons are dynamic, and also the text is going to be the same. I'm going to copy this and then paste it here, and instead of icon, I'm going to change it to name. And now this is how we create the health needs section. Okay, so the health needs section is done. We can close it, and our next on our list is the nearby doctors, right? So let's first have to create some sizer box, right? So let's create some sizer box. I'm going to copy this sizer box here, and if I put my command there and give it a text, right, of, so let's say just like we did for the health needs, we're also going to do the same for the nearby doctors. So text like nearby doctors, and I'm going to copy the same text here. Sorry, let me just paste this and then remove this, then change this to nearby doctors. Right, now I realize that this is very close to this, so let's increase the sizer box to 25, right, or even 30, right, so that it's a little bit different from this. And now our nearby doctors, right? So let's create our nearby doctors widget, and within our widgets, I'm going to create another file, nearby doctors .dat, and it's going to be a stateless widget just like the rest of our widgets. I think I made a mistake with the naming. So nearby and yeah, so nearby doctors. Our nearby doctors is going to be starts with a column, right? So as I described, there is going to be a column, and within that column we are going to have some rows and then some containers. So let's look at how that is going to be. So the first one is going to just be a column. So instead of a container, we are going to return a column with some children, right? Now the first child, right, which is going to be one instance of the nearby doctor, right? So it's going to be a row, Right, so we are going to have a row with some children, and then within that row we are going to have a container, right? So a container, they give it some fixed width and height. I'm going to give it a width of 100, a height of 100, and some decoration. If I close my sidebar, so box decoration, and I want to give it a border radius, right? So border radius the circular, and then give it a value of 10. Now when I save, you're not going to see anything because we are not using our nearby doctors. Let's come to our home page, and then first add some sizer box here, and then add our nearby doctors, right? And we still can't say anything because our container is not having a color, but we are going to use our image, right? So within the decoration we can give a background image to the container. We do that with the image property and set it to decoration image, and then the image is going to be an asset image, which is not a widget but then an image provider. So an asset image, and I'm going to point it to one of our images, right? So assets slash doctor underscore, let's say 1.jpg, and when we save, realize we have our doctor showing here, and also we need the fits, right? So I want the fit of this image to be cover, right? And that will make sure that it fits the whole container. Without the fit, this is how it's going to look like. So if I add the color to, let's say, colors dot indigo, right, and I remove the fit. So if I remove the fit, you realize this is our container, and the image is not fitting, it's not covering the whole container, right? So when you set the fit to box fit dot cover, it makes sure that the image is stretched equally so that it fits the whole container. Now remove the color. Okay, so that's about a container. I can minimize the container, and then the next thing is to have those text at the right section, and I want to create some spacing. So size the box with a width of 10, and now add another column. So add a column, and then with some children, right? So when we save, nothing happens, but we are going to add, the first thing is going to be the name of this particular doctor. So I'm going to use the text widget, and then set it to doctor dot, I'm still going to use my random name, yeah, and then set the style of this name with a text style, text style, give it a font size of 16, font weight of bold. Now when I save, I realize that we have the name but it's centered, right? So let's come to our row and then change the cross axis alignment, the start, right? That makes sure that everything is starting in our row. And after this, we are going to have some sizer box, right? And then the position of that person. So for the text, sizer box of height 8, then the position of this doctor. So for the job, let me see, general practitioner, right? And realize that this column is also centered, so you can come to the column and change the cross-axis alignment. Cross-axis alignment dot start. And the last thing is going to be the ratings, right? So we are going to have a sizer box for spacing, and I'm going to give it a height of about 20. Yeah, 20 looks cool. And then a row, right, with some children, and we have to move the cons from the column. Now the first child of this is going to be the icon, which is this star icon. So I'm going to pick that from the unicorns package dot star, and the color is black. It looks too huge, so let's fix that. Change the size to 18, then change the color to yellow, right? But I want a shade of 700, right? So let me move the cons. Now we have our star there, and the next thing is I want to have the text that's the actual rating, right? So I'm going to have a text with the value, let's say 4.0, and let's give it some style. So the style is going to be a normal text style. Give it a font weight of bold, and that's the only thing we are changing here. Right, and we realize the star is too close to the text, so let's wrap this text in a padding widget. And set it to only the left of this text will have a padding of 4, and the right will have a padding of 6. Right, now the next thing is going to be the reviews, right? That's just going to be a normal text, and then the value is going to be, for now, 195 reviews. And we are done with the nearby doctors design. We just have to have more instances of this, so I'm going to create a model for this nearby doctors. So let's come out here. You can create it within the file, the same file, but I just want to create it outside. In the lib folder, I'm going to create a models folder, and just for the nearby doctor, so let's say doctors model. And within this doctors model, just going to be a simple class. So class doctor model is going to first have the name of the doctor. I'm going to have the position, right? I'm going to have also the average review, right, which is going to be an integer. So an average review, going to have the total review, and these are just dummy data, so don't worry. In an actual project, you may have this data coming from an API, your database, different places. So let me just generate the constructor for this class, and I'm going to have a list of nearby doctors, and then set it to an empty array for now. So just like we did for the health needs section, we're going to have doctors, right? And then the name, position, average review, which is supposed to be a number, so like 3, total review maybe 195, then the profile will be an image, right? So that will point to one of our assets, /doctor_, let's say 3.jpg. Right, so this is how all the doctors are going to be, and I'm going to copy this one in. Just have 3 doctor models here. So let me pin this. The total reviews, right? So total review, or let me make it total reviews here. So I'll change it from here to total reviews, and this will be our nearby doctors. Let's use it within our nearby doctor widget. So instead of just returning one child, just like we did for the first one, we are going to cut out everything within it. Right, so let me make sure I'm cutting the right end. I think up to here. I didn't cut it well. Okay, up to here, right? And we are going to use a list.generate, and then give it a length of nearby doctors dot length, and then the generator is just going to be a function which will return the UI we had previously, right? And now you can abstract this UI into its own widget, and then you require the parameters separately. But this is just a simple example, so you're just going to have everything in it. And when I save, we have 3 doctors right now, but I realize the doctors are close together. So let's wrap each row in a pattern, and then only the bottom going to have a pattern of about 18. So 18 will be good. And now there is space between the doctors, right? And we just have to now change the values. So I'm going to change the images to be nearby doctors, the current index dot profile. We have to move the constant. Now they all change, and then the name as well. So get how it's going to be. I have to change the name as well. Let's name, remove the constant. Now the name gets changed, and within the model for the position, it was just static. The average view, let's say this will be 4, 2, 3. You can make this also a double so that you can have decimals, right? And total reviews, these are some random number for demo purposes, right? So the nearby doctors, we're just going to maintain the general partitioner because it's still the same, and we are going to access the so we are having the nearby doctors, right? And then the index, then this is going to be the average review, right? And then maybe to string, right? And then move the constants here, and I realize the average reviews have changed, and we have to I think restart our app for this average reviews to reflect properly. So I'm going to perform a simple restart. Yeah, so now they are working, and I want to change this value as well. So the reviews, this is going to be just like this, but instead of average review is going to be total reviews. When we save, we are now having our values updated. So there's the medical doctors app homepage design from scratch. If you like this video, please kindly hit the like button, subscribe, comment and share as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.